All right. Hey, good evening, LinkedIn. Dave Wilson, the Ring of Hire Show. Hey, today's show is going to be talking about terminating employees, firing. You can use those words, but we're going to have a great discussion about it, and we'll be right back after this video. All right, one of the great shows tonight to talk about terminations and ending an employee's assignment, however you want to put it. When you first take that step into a management position, you've got that job as a supervisor. Things are going well, and there's a lot of things that you don't know when you're promoted. And one of the hardest things to learn how is to terminate an employee. You just took on a new job. They were your friends, and now they're your coworkers there that you're going to be in charge of them, and you're trying to lead them, and they're all still shocked that you're the supervisor. But comes a time that you're going to have to learn how to terminate an employee. And my favorite part about that to say is, listen, if you enjoy it, if you enjoy terminating employees, something's wrong with you. I'll tell you what, and many of the years as I've evolved, it's not something that I like to do, and I don't like when it's done to myself. Everybody's had that feeling, how it feels. Maybe not, but some people know what that feeling is, and you're totally shocked. You have no clue that you're going to be terminated right that day, that Tuesday, that Wednesday. You go to work, not think of anything. There's a couple different ways that you can look at it for terminations. There's a type of termination that I really, really irks me is the one that, you've been with a company for 5, 10 years, a couple write-ups, maybe not even, good reviews. And all of a sudden, you can tell that that manager is after that person. You see it, you feel it, There he is. Hey, Steve, how you doing, sir? All the way from Utah, Mr. Stephen Farrell. Steve, talking about letting employees go, and your colleagues too, as a supervisor. So those types of firings that, I've seen a person really go through hell, and you don't know why. They've been with a company 5, 10 years, never much of a write-up, but they're getting hounded on, they're getting written up for everything, and they're the kind of firings that I really I have a hard time with, because that's the type of person that has the right, should know, after so many years of working for the company, that you're going to terminate. You're going to terminate their employment when they really haven't been written up that much, and it happens. I've seen it happen numerous times. There goes what happened to John, what happened to Cindy. Well, they're gone. What? And the majority of the times, the employees, your coworkers, they know that it's happening. So when, as a supervisor, you're going to make the first mistake by going around, hey, don't tell them, but I'm going to fire or terminate this person. That's the mistake number one, because no employees keep secrets. They're going to go right over to their coworker and they're going to say, hey, guess what? They're going to let Barb John go, Hey, Samantha, how you doing? Tonight we're talking about, Samir, I'm sorry, talking about letting go employees, terminating them. Hey, Joel, it's always nice to see you come on the show. It's been a while. And feel free to chime in about how you feel about terminations and how it should go. But the questions that come up, pretty basic ones, is like, I was reading here, when's the best time to let an employee go, right? When is the best time of the day? And I always said not on weekends, not on a Friday, nothing on a holiday weekend. No. You can, if you put up with a person for that long, they can wait a little bit longer till after the holiday. I always thought I didn't want to ruin their holiday weekend with their family. I think that's, unless it was something really super serious, there's no reason why you should terminate an employee before that. We got Robert here. Robert, I was terminated a few months ago. That's why I'm watching. It's rough. Robert, and I'll leave that there for a second, Robert. It is. And what I try to tell people as I've evolved through the years, you really have to prepare. You have to prepare. Now, Robert, I don't know their story there, but if you didn't know it was coming, if it was a shock to you, then that's where I always blame management. You said you got terminated on Friday. Again, that's my personal views of that is I would never do it on a Friday. I don't like that. I feel, it's my opinion, Tuesdays, Wednesdays during the week, it gives that your colleague a time to get everything situated with human resources, because not every firing has to be bad. Not everyone has to be bad. It doesn't. Sometimes it just happens because we've talked about it before. There's many excuses, bosses and all that, and why they want to term you. And once that top manager gets that in their system to term, there's no going back. They have one thing in mind, and that's what they're going to do. But I always get asked, what's the best time? Really none, but there was some people that said, they took them out to lunch, right? And said they would terminate offsite. And listen, that maybe work for some kind of corporations. I don't know. Not in the fields that I've been in. I wouldn't think I'm going to take somebody out to lunch and let them go and not come back to the office till everybody comes. But I always believe that at the end of the day, to me, it makes sense. You got all your coworkers in the office. And listen, again, your coworkers know you're getting termed. Nobody keeps a secret. That's just a fact. I've known people that were going to get fired. We all knew it. You wanted to say something to the person, but you couldn't. It's just politics. It's just company politics, and you knew it. And then you knew when that person goes into that back room, that's it. You can hear that HR phone come on, that voice you only hear. Because I told you before, HR scares the living hell out of me. Still, but it's not always bad. But they're the ones that are always in the meeting. So you got to be prepared during the day. And really get everything together for both yourself. I mean, if you have a feeling you're getting terminated, you need to document everything that you have yourself, because maybe it's not all your fault. And I'm thinking both sides here. This is towards employees that probably do need to be let go. So, Robert, that's a hard thing, because if you don't, when you're pulling a person into that meeting, listen, their stomach drops. That stomach just friggin' drops. Mine did. It drops down to here, and you have millions of questions are going on in your head. Screw them. You're thinking about, what am I telling my wife? All right, no paycheck. I'm not going to have a job. Do I have vacation time? The main thing right now, benefits. Your benefits are going through your friggin' head like, wow, what's going to happen there? Severance pay. Do I get that? I've been here for 10 years. Nobody's ever written me up before. What's going on? I don't understand this. Your thought process is just twisted. Meanwhile, you're having the leader, the HR director, or your supervisor, if they're in there, they should be, really trying to smooth it over as easy as they can. I believe you gotta have some kind of dignity. You gotta treat somebody fair. If they've known they've done wrong, that employee knows it. If they knew they were going to get termed, they knew it was coming. I mean, and they're the type of employees there that, it's okay to them. They got termed, but again, that drop in the stomach, it hurts. I don't care. It feels like somebody just punched you right there. And then you really do want to get out of there. A lot of people, if you can keep it short, that's the way I like to do, is just keep it short to the point. Listen, at the end of the day, that decision's made before you're going into that room, and they're not 99.9% of the time, they're not going to back out. Could it? It could, if you've had something differently, a different story, why you were being termed. There's all different ways you can look at it. But that feeling is, I always think of it this way. Whenever I've had to terminate employees, I always just turn it around like, Dave, remember how it feels. Remember how that person feels right now. So dignity, respect, have everything together. Like, make sure you have everything together beforehand. Choose a proper time and place. We talked about that. You need to have a witness when you're terminating an employee that's only protecting you, and protecting the company. So always be a witness. You always want a witness in there. If I was to walk in there and there wasn't a witness, I would want a witness, because you really want to, whatever's said in that meeting, documented. That's just the way it is. You don't want to go in there and not have a witness and they say, he say, she say. You don't want to do that. So you can ask for that. That's my opinion. I would have a witness. Keep it short to the point. A couple other things, avoid the element of surprise. So this one here, that's the biggest one that I get pissed off at, is to avoid the element of surprise. That employee should not be surprised that they're inside that office. If they are surprised, something's wrong in the system. That means, because if you've kept telling an employee like they're not doing their job correctly, right? You keep telling them, you've written them up a couple times, but you don't want to end them. The supervisors have to really, really step back, right? You got to let them go, because the supervisors sometimes come back with excuses why not to fire the employee. There's a couple of reasons why. They might not want to fire them because they're friends. Listen, been there, done it. When you're in that management role and you start to become friends with people, and not colleagues too, and distance it a little bit, you need to back it and separate it. Friendship's one thing, but in the workplace, that can really get you, because you don't want to terminate your friend. You don't want to terminate your wife's friend. You don't want to terminate your friend's friend that got you this job, that person the job. Supervisors sometimes make that mistake, and they don't want to. They'll come up with every excuse. But at the end of the day, there's a couple of things also that a supervisor needs to know, is if there's something else that they're going to bring up in that meeting, they're going to be scared that person's going to bring it up in the meeting. Sometimes that's what happens. And when you're getting to a meeting and you're cornered, you're going to come back with some negative things, like why. Your first question for you're going to be like, why? So everything that person says in that meeting, you're going to want to contradict. And if you have that thought process, that quick speed time, you might. But if not, when you leave, that's when a lot of the stuff starts spinning over and over and over in your thought process. What did I do wrong? What happened here? Do I deserve this? Why didn't they do this to Joe Schmo over here, or this person here? Your mind just goes and goes and goes. So try to keep the meeting as short as possible. I suggest, keep it short. Everybody doesn't want to be in there. Listen, there's times where I'll tell you what, I did not want to be in those meetings. I would lose sleep over it. I would lose sleep overnight, knowing that I had to get rid of somebody that I knew. Not get rid of, I shouldn't say like that, term, and change them on. But there are ways that companies, not all firings are a bad thing. Some people want to be termed out, right? And, if you're offering a severance package, bring that up. Try to keep that meeting, listen, when they walk in, don't sugarcoat it. Don't sit there la-di-ga, we're here for coffee. Bring it right out why we're terminating you, letting you go. But you want to try to save, if you know you have severance pay, if you know that you're going to tell them that, we're not going to fight your unemployment, right? Those two things right there in your vacation pay will really, really turn it around. It's not the best, but it's going to take that thought process of the person that's sitting there, all right, and we're going to pay your benefits to the end of the month, all right? They're the kind of things that the candidate would really love to hear. Not everybody offers all that kind of things, but really, really try to give them some help, give them something to feed on. And if you're terminating them for just like a performance, that's not something that the company, didn't train that person. Listen, a lot of the times, work performance, I blame management as much as I blame the candidate. Because if the management didn't provide the tools to, like Robert, if the management didn't say, Robert, this is what we were going to do. We expect you to do this with these tools, and here you go. If they didn't put Robert on a PIP, to say, hey, a PIP is a good thing if it's utilized correctly. For those who don't know, for those who don't know what a PIP is something that it puts you on a plan. And there's certain things that you have to do that you're signed in that meeting. When you're put on a PIP, everybody say, oh, I'm going to get fired. Don't think of it like that. It depends on the place. They still have their intentions. They'll do that. Some companies will do that. They'll put you on that PIP just to get the hell out of here. They want you out, and that's on their mind. But if it's a good boss, they'll put you on that. And if you do every single thing on that PIP, you can turn it around. And you can be a good employee right off the bat. That is what a PIP is used for. A lot of the times, Robert, I know how you feel there for this, but if the processes of termination for people like with that get let go for an attendance. Listen, if you have an attendance policy, for God's sake, use it. Don't sit back and complain to everybody if you're not following the attendance. If you're not, I have been in those spots. I swear I've been in there to where I've kept employees. I'm not going to sit back and say I didn't from years ago. I thought keeping them was better than getting rid of them. But it was hurting me. I look back now and I said, that was probably hurting myself. I should have and could have ended them quicker and then kept turning it around. Eventually, you're going to get that one employee that wants to work that doesn't call off. But if your policy's verbal, written, final, term, listen, there are some little things that go wrong in between, and I'm not going to get into it here, but if that person is abusing it, yeah, you follow those rules. You follow the rules. That employee can't do anything about it. You're saying to yourself, wow, okay, I did it. I was wrong. A lot of different excuses could happen with attendance. I get that. But some people just edge it. They don't care. And they're the ones that you really need to follow that procedure. Because the ones that you don't follow, and then when you bring somebody in that you're going to term that's a really good employee, they've watched over and over and over what you've done out there. They watch the management team. They will watch that team and say, wow, look at Joe over here. He's had 28 absences. I've had my 5 or 6 and walked right up the chain, and now I'm gone. You see what I mean? Follow the procedures when you're going to try to terminate an employee. Listen, they don't have anything. If you don't do it properly, if you're not trained properly, listen, nowadays, you really got to be trained. HR, there's times to where in my career that you become worried sometimes if you're going to let an employee go. Do you do it off premises? Do you do it on premises? Which majority of the time you have to. And then you got to think of yourself ahead. You're in some of these big, huge warehouses, and if you're letting somebody go from all the way back here, all the way up there, a lot can happen from here to here. A lot of vocal, a lot of don't engage if an employee starts cussing, swearing, don't go. Once you engage, when you engage with that employee, you're just as guilty. That's where you need to cut it off. It's hard, that long walk, but you got to be expected too. A lot of companies have security. I'd always listen. If you had security at the company, there's sometimes you have to put somebody on alert. You would. You'd want to let your whole team know. Sometimes you just don't know what to expect, but don't engage into it. Don't feed. You feed back into a firing when it's flames inside there, you're going to get burned. I mean, they're going to come back out, and then they're going to come out with some things that you did. See, that's the thing. You're letting somebody go that you think's your friend and all this, but they're going to let you know what you did wrong. And when you're in that meeting, let me tell you, you got your boss and your HR, and all of a sudden it's turned around. Well, Dave did this or John did this. That's when your stomach goes down the tubes, because you're like, oh, wow, I didn't realize that he would say that. But what do you think? That person that's sitting in that seat, you have to be prepared for every single thing what that person's ready to say. They're ready. They're going to throw people under the bus. It's just a fact. They're at that point that they don't care. They're going to say things about this employee. They're going to say things about this in the office, and then before you know it, it's like a spiral. Again, that's why I keep it short and the assignment as quick as you can, and be respectful. So those are some of the things that you want to get in hand, and don't humiliate the employee. Try not to, don't humiliate. So there was a lot of other things here that they talk about. Let me get to it here. Is you really want to write down before you're going to terminate an employee. Really, really write down the questions or answers, anything, scenarios. When you ask a question, what could be in return? What your answer is going to be that. Again, don't engage to keep the meeting going on and on and on. Keep it to the point. Make sure you know that the employee understands that this is the final meeting. That's it. So you've got to keep them informed of that. We talked about avoid surprises. You're going to always have somebody say something about something. Let it go and just continue on with the meeting. Here, there's a couple things that you don't want to really say. And I get this. Don't say, I understand how you feel. This says, it makes sense because you don't, right? Don't, hey, listen, I'm so sorry. I understand how you feel. No, you don't. You're not reversed. So you don't. Don't say, I know this hurts right now, but later you realize this is the best thing that could have happened, isn't it? Come on. And these are some things that people have said. Avoid justifications. You should have known. Yeah, you should have known. These are some of the things that you don't want to say. Survival is a strong instinct. Give it time to work. Remember the golden rule. You know what? And it says keep a box of Kleenex. That's really great. But people do cry. And that's one of the hardest things that I think any kind of a manager, that when you are letting somebody go and they break down, it could be with two people, break down. That's when your emotions come through and you're listening, and in your mind and in your head, as a manager, I'm saying, okay, did I do the right thing? Was it the correct way to do this? Was it? That starts questioning myself, because it's hard to watch somebody emotional going through this. They could have a lot more things going through in their life, and everything's just piled on them, one thing after another. Before you know it, now you got the term, and this person can really be breaking down. So, I mean, really, really, empathy. You want to be able to get their things. A lot of people, they take their keys away. They take any kind of their emails, all that stuff is suspended prior to the meeting, because with social media, if that person is pissed off, and they can go out on social media and they can do some really good damage on there. They can really say some things that might be true or might not be, but it's never good for the company. So that's why you want to try to decompress it, keep it low, and try to keep, if somebody needs a ride, if they need a ride home, if they don't want to drive, listen, they're upset. They want to get their belongings. Hopefully it's at the end of the day so they can go back. I've had a tour, we've had to clean out some people's desk. I never like that. I don't like that. And I'm sorry. When you got to go through somebody's desk and you have to box it up and write down on a spreadsheet, Excel, one tissue box, one. You'll be kidding me, but you have to log it in, every little thing, put it in the box, and they get shipped out like UPS or by the mail. But that's a hard thing to do. When you have to clean out somebody's desk, it's horrible. That's why I always like to say at the end of the day, let that employee just take their things. Let them go back. You can stand there. It's going to be uncomfortable for another 20 minutes, 15 minutes. Let them clear their desk and let them go. That'll give you time as the managers to sit back and decompress and get ready to tell your team the next day. Again, your team already knows. I don't care. People don't keep secrets. And if they did, if they held that one in, that was a pretty good one, that they didn't know that you were going to terminate the person. But that's just part one tonight I wanted to talk about. And I'm going to be doing another part of the show this week of some other things. So if you had to learn anything as a new supervisor, listen, do a lot of reading, and learn the company's policies. Paul Fulcani, this book, I know it looks big. It's 101 sample write-ups for documenting employee performance problems. I'll tell you what, this thing will really, really, really teach you some stuff on the importance of it and how to do one, to see if your company's, if it's a smaller company, maybe you can suggest something different, but a guide to progressive discipline and termination. Not everybody's a bad employee. Some just might not be for that fit. So just keep, empathetic, just keep it short. And I want to thank everybody for watching the show tonight, and I'll be back tomorrow. Talk to everybody soon. Got to find a great video here. There we go.